hard. It wasn't hard. It's just like it's very time plays tricks on you. Like I could have sworn Zach played like half a dozen games and then kind of came back. But as you said, it was a bit longer than that. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the quiz anyway. Well done to everyone out there who did better. Well, I did better than me, but you got what? You got the wire one. You got the Joe Burgess one, and you got 1 point for Ellis. So you got 3 points.
That's all right.
It's not.
In a competition between me and me, then I win. So that'll do.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the wrap up. Any other business time then, Alan, and sort of talking about where we're up to in sort of where are we in lockdown? Is it post lockdown? Is it?
It's partial lockdown.
Yeah, partial lockdown. Yeah.
It's. Do I feel comfortable enough to go to a regular shop or not? That's the stage we're at. And can I book a holiday this year or not? That's the stage we're at.
I'm pretty much still at where I was at, which is when can I go and watch Wigan again? Occasionally at weekends I sort of think, when can I go for a beer again? But you can go for a beer at a lot of places now. You just have to get them as takeouts and then go and sit on whatever patch of green space is near to them. And apparently also often don't take your plastic glasses back with you. Seems to be the common consensus of how these things are done. I'm not sure why, but yeah, in this state of lockdown exit that we're in, I'm actually going back into the office at work tomorrow for the first time. So whilst people will be listening to this, I'll be making the trepidatious journey to a potential COVID hive. Luckily, we don't process chickens or other food stuff because it seems to be those places aren't great at the moment, unfortunately. So, shout out to anyone who works in any sort of food processing environments, and hopefully they're staying safe and able to avoid the virus and stuff. So, thanks to everyone who's doing those sorts of jobs because it sounds nasty out there at the moment in that sector. But yeah, back into the office for probably at least 2 days this week. I've kind of asked for it to be gradual for lots of reasons, but the main reason is I really like working from home. I can make myself a nice dinner. I don't have to spend time in the car. So it means my choice of how long to extend my working day, whether I want to work overtime or not, isn't it. I can work more if I want to, or I don't lose as much free time if I don't want to. So I'm glad for losing, even though I've only got like a 25-minute commute. I'm glad to have been not having it. So I've made my sandwiches for the first time in 3 months. I'm not that excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been back into our office once, and that was just a practical pick up things that I left behind that I didn't think I'd be needing. But it turns out if you're out of the office for 3 months, you do need them. So I've only done that once, and it was an odd experience. But yeah, I've been getting used to working from home. It's still odd because we're still both of us are trying to work and trying to homeschool. And
your setup's more complicated and more challenging than mine, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everyone's circumstances are different, and I wouldn't want to say that we're any worse or better than anyone else. It's just become the norm now. So if it was to change, it's not on the horizon for us, but it would feel weird if I was to go back to the office regularly. And not just because I'm worried about picking up anything. It's just, I haven't been at my job particularly long. I'd only been in the place 6 weeks by when they started. Yeah. So I've been out of there twice as long as I was in there. So it feels very normal to be working remotely. So changing that back will be strange. But yeah, it's other than that, writing essays. That's what I've been doing the last 2 weeks.
So you've been balancing educating with your own educating your child, doing your own education, and working.
Yes.
Particularly over the last couple of weeks when you've had some deadlines, haven't you? So,
yes,
it's
been an interesting time.
Well, I suppose I could let people know how I felt about going back into the office next week, but Emma's not that excited about it either, because it means that she won't get to see me as much during the day, and won't be able to have lunches together and stuff, which I quite enjoyed. And I don't know whether you've formed any social bubbles yet. We did the sort of socially distanced Father's Day visits at the weekend, that sort of stuff. So we've now seen sort of all of our parents over the last couple of weekends. Seeing my mum the weekend before, and then seeing sort of for a longer period of time than just a quick exchange through a window or something that I've had with some of my parents, or a phone call or stuff. Sat in the park with my mum for a few hours, sat round at my in-laws, who we have seen quite frequently because we've had to help them with shopping and putting stuff away in their house and stuff, because they've had their injuries, but then they're now free of that now, so it's just garden visits now for us with them, and seeing spending an extended time at my parents as well, like my dad and my stepmom. That's been kind of nice, I suppose, that we can do those things, but you sort of worry, don't you, the more you see people, then I'm going to have to go back into work. That's going to make me worry about whether I should see people I care about as much as I have started to do in the last couple of weeks, because you don't know what. It's weird getting the balance right.
It is difficult.
Getting the worry level right.
yeah, because why? So Anna's mum kind of lives close to us, and she will be in our bubble, although we're still garden visiting at the moment. From my mum and dad's point of view, my mum kind of she works in a shop, and she's very exposed in that sense. So you and she's very cautious about that kind of thing. So I can understand why people are feeling a bit anxious about it, or might be feeling anxious about it. So I really don't see us changing our specific behaviour about social distancing really in the medium term, because it feels like the right thing to do. But yeah, I can understand taking steps backwards is always harder than making an initial break of it's the right thing to do. But actually taking the steps back is probably harder than cutting off close contact in the first place.
So, yeah. In terms of recommendations, on Friday night, me and my sort of school friends that I'm still friends with, we played poker for the first time that we've played poker with each other for about 15 years maybe. And we used to do it quite regularly between the ages of 16 and 21 before we all kind of spread off into our own lives. So it was the first time we'd all played poker together for a very long time, and we tried to use a online platform that seems to be used for lots of board game type games and stuff, and I can't remember the name of it, but it really didn't work because you had to do everything yourself, and it just was so complicated with everyone's hands sort of moving around the screen, touching all the cards and stuff. Did not work. But in the end we found a thing called pokernow.club, which basically you didn't even have to set up any login, so you didn't have to give them any details. They didn't spam you with adverts all the time, and you just played through hands of poker until you had a winner. And I did run a virus check afterwards because I thought this is way too easy. But my computer said there was no problems the next day, so that's fine. So that was really good. The other thing, and I've got a few this week. It's been weird because I've not had much for a few weeks. One thing I've started to get into, which I never was into before, is hummus.
Oh, I love hummus.
But the flavoured hummus.
Oh yeah,
like sweet chili flavoured or red pepper flavoured in particular, are the ones I'm keen on. I'm enjoying that. and I never was a dips kind of guy. And I feel like I told this story last week, but I think I must have told it to my friends on Friday. And we were making these. Actually, another thing that's really nice, Morrison's have got these sort of fake koftas, kind of fake meat koftas. So soya and beans and peas and stuff koftas that taste like just lamb koftas. So we were having them in like some flatbreads, and we put a bit of mint sauce and a bit of tzatziki on them. So at the shop they sold the tzatziki alongside all these other dip things, and I was like, right, buy one for 80p or buy two for £1. I'll buy two for £1 and try another one. And so I bought a hummus, and then I've kept trying more different hummuses, and it's good. I'm on board with hummus.
Yeah, it's part of the vegan life and part of your initiation ceremony.
Well, these lamb koftas actually, I meant to tell you about them as well. If you got a Morrison's near you, they're really nice. They're one of the nicest kind of frozen vegan foods I've ever bought, but also one that I can't quite figure out how I'd make myself.
Yeah,
which is annoying. Yeah. Because I like to buy vegetarian or vegan stuff and then try and figure out how to make it myself without having the same level of processing.
Yes. I kind of just assume that I let somebody else worry about the processing. That's kind of that's what I pay for. But no, Hummus Life is it's part of the vegan lifestyle. So, welcome to the fold.
Well, I'm not vegan. But
no, but you're part of. You're in transition. You're in the hummus phase, you see.
So the final recommendation. I don't know if it's a recommendation. It's more an explanation of what we've been watching on television a lot this week. One of the nights I was recording a show, Emma stumbled across a show called Insane Pools. Right.
Okay.
And it's basically like an American reality TV program where people do, home improvement stuff, but it's swimming pools, exclusively swimming pools. And this guy comes in, basically builds you a waterfall in your back garden that you can jump off into a swimming pool every week. They all look exactly the same, but Emma absolutely loves it. So we've been watching Insane Pools on Discovery quite a lot in the last week.
Does Emma need to get out a bit more, do you think? Are we a bit worried about her?
Well, she seems really happy, really loving it. She's a big fan of Insane Pools. Part of the issue though is she's now starting to think about where we could put a pool in our back garden, and these people on this show are buying pools, paying for pools to be put in. That their budget is twice as much as what we paid for our house. So, I need to rein her in. Plus, most of these people live in Florida, and Kirkham ain't Florida when it comes to climate. So yeah,
it's lots of cut with the paddling pool like everybody else.
So that's been our last week in terms of recommendations. What about yourself?
I didn't really have anything specific, so I'm really glad that you had plenty this week. The only thing I'd say is obviously it was Father's Day yesterday, so happy Father's Day to those that celebrate it. And what I got as my present was a reissue of Manic Street Preachers' Gold Against the Soul, which is a classic album for me, kind of. It takes me back to a different time in my life. So my recommendation... It does.
So
it does.
Your Father's Day present was a gift that reminds you of what life was like before you had children.
Well, when you say it like that, it makes it sound bad. But no, it's a brilliant album. And so my recommendation is not necessarily to listen to that album, although it's a great one. Pick out an album that you recall fondly that you haven't listened to in ages and stick it on. Because for me, it took me right back listening to that album through again. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Pick out an album that you haven't listened to for ages and stick it on.
Or And, sorry, not or, and also check out the Postmodern Jukebox's version of Spice Girls Wannabe, because I heard that for the first time at the weekend. I don't know how it slipped through my cracks